think I'll do this. Welcome. Bienvenue. It's the All-solo-no-blabla. At Cat's Corner, I'm going to have to go a bit lower, I think. Bienvenue. Fait longtemps que je parle en français. Mais on va pas parler beaucoup. On va faire plutôt le solo jazz. So lots of solo jazz, not much explaining. But feel free to ask questions, and I will, feel free to. I'm always happy to answer questions either here or afterwards if anything comes up. We're going to be.
Tell us your name and what city you're in.
Oh, I'm Warren. I'm a guest instructor. I was in Montreal a couple years back, but I'm in Kansas City in the United States, right in the middle, if you want to know geographically, pretty much of the continent of North America. So it's like right in this dead center of the states. Right, and actually I'm on the Missouri side just by a little bit. Oddly enough, Kansas City in Missouri. So, and I think we've got a mix of people from Montreal and from Kansas and Missouri. So, yeah. I think the audio is good. Let's warm up. It's going to be they only have one track actually released on this album, but there'll be more. It's a preview. So Tutti Frutti with the Brothers Arnson.
Now I don't want vanilla, I don't want chocolate. Give me some of that good tutti frutti. Tutti frutti frutti. Tutti frutti frutti. Tutti frutti frutti. La frutti 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 frutti. Tutti frutti frutti. Tutti frutti frutti. Tutti frutti frutti. La frutti 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 frutti. Don't like vanilla. Strawberry will do. But let me tell you, it's the fruity 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 one for me. Tutti frutti frutti. Tutti frutti frutti. Tutti frutti frutti. La frutti 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 frutti. Tutti 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 frutti. Tutti 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 frutti. Tutti 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 frutti. Oh, now what you got for me, Casey?
Yeah, right on. Warren, I think the people always appreciate it when you turn around and show it from the back. That's a tip we often get.
Ah, excellent, excellent. I'll try to remember to do both sides, and of course, just let me know if you saw something and you'd like it repeated differently. And there's a little bit of a preview of the type of things we're going to do today. Probably grab at least 3 or 4 of those movements, and then play around with different ways to do it. Yeah, feel free to stay for as much as you like. And also, I think this is live and also will be posted on YouTube or something like that, I believe. Later on.
We are live on Facebook as well.
Exactly. So it's a drop in, drop out, as you like, of course. Yeah. So I think pretty much the plan is I'm going to take a solo jazz move, play around with it. The idea is to try our usual type of variations and then experiment a bit. And then I'll come back and chat about the types of things that we could play around with. And so the next one I'm going to do, I'm going to play around with Susie Q's, which will look a bit like this. And of course, feel free to do what I do, or do your own thing. I'm not the boss of anybody, as these things go. And the main thing I'm going to do is try different feet and different directions. Let's start with that. And just a little bit of swing. And I'm back. I'm going to lean down whenever I do this. So, any particular questions? I'm not sure if we usually pause so much. Oh, I see someone typed, redo the Susie Q with the foot in the air. Indeed, so it's one of the things I've been playing around with, is actually how much weight you need on each foot. And of course, jazz moves involve a lot of illusions. So, usual Susie Q has a lot of weight alternately on both feet. I don't remember, I think I probably tried this foot in the air. Try first by just using like maybe the toe, and then but this also starts going towards some other jazz moves. Of course, we try doing less weight on the front, although you might need to use more of the back foot. And the idea behind that one often is that you want to have this illusion of the front foot being completely flat on the ground, but sometimes the floor is super sticky, or there's things in the floor, and you really can't have the floor help you out. So being able to control how much weight you have on either foot can let you have a lot more options. Was there any other questions? In the middle, I tried a couple different directional things. Of course, there's left and right, but there's also going in circles. And one which I don't do very often is the one in a circle with your back towards whatever you're circling. I don't know if you heard it, but I definitely clipped the chair a couple times there. So need to work on counterclockwise, I think it is. Yeah. That's enough stalling to cool off a bit. I think I'm going to put on another song. I said, oh. Let's try. This one I'm going to try to play with timing a bit. So, I'm going to try to share the audio. Excellent. Back. I think you grab a glass of water. Let's see if there's any questions. But the foot in the air actually reminded me of the next thing I wanted to go into, which is more even weight and other types of weight distributions. Kind of heading into bee's knees, happy feet, George Brown. But I figured I'd probably just check in, make sure we're pretty good on the Suzy Q's. And of course, if there's any questions, feel free to ask me later. But yeah, hitting from the Suzy Q's kind of inspired me to think about, well, these ones are very forward and back, with 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. But of course, you have these bee's knees, happy feet type of thing. Same kind of, similar kind of motion. Same but different. But, and this one, of course, led me to thinking about the 1 foot in the air. You can definitely move 1 foot with the other one, and maybe not even on the ground. So, play around with that. The next song, maybe I'll choose something a little bit more laid back. Have stuff from Dennis Lichtman, which is a New York inspired CD that just came out not too long ago. Oops, I need the song. Just Crossed the River from Queens.
There's a quiet spot up by the river, and that quiet spot is quite well known. Just near it is the old Isle of Manhattan, so near Manhattan that you can telephone. When you get there, you know how long you'll stay there. A day, a week, a month, a year, more. When you get there, they plan for your welfare. The moment you set foot on the shore, warmed by the sun and is kissed by the dew, just cross the river from Queens. Oh, what a welcome is waiting for you. Just cross the river from Queens. Oh, what a view of that river and sky. Tugboats and scows whistle as they go by. Live like a king without a sin in your jeans. Just cross the river, babe, from Queens. Cross the river from Queens, oh, baby, what a welcome is waiting for you. Just cross the river from Queens. Oh, what a view of that beautiful little sky. Tugboats and scows whistle as them things go by. Live like a king without a sin in your teeth. Cross the river, across the river.
There we go, some Suzy Q's. A bit more of feet in the air. like a lot of the jazz moves, a lot of things are somewhat illusions. Although most of the time, the correct way of doing things is often the easiest way, so we shouldn't be too surprised if you find some of them more difficult. That said, I find a lot of different directions difficult, so that probably just means I need to practice going the other direction more often. So this is a great time. One of the things I was chatting to Megan about before starting is that when I'm trying jazz things at home, I try things that I wouldn't probably try outside. Maybe they're a bit too ridiculous, or maybe a little unlikely to succeed, but now's a great time to try them out. And of course, with video, it's quite revealing. You can watch yourself afterwards and comment and think about, did it really look the same way as I thought it was in my head? So I'm going to continue. Actually, I think I'll probably start with Blue Turning Gray over you, just to give ourselves a little bit of a cool down after a couple of those fast ones. And also gives us a little bit more chance to play around with details.
Gee, how I miss your tender kiss and the wonderful things we used to do. Well, now I run my hands through silvery strands, 'cause I'm blue, turning gray over you. Blue, turning gray over you. To be so good to me. That's when I was a novelty. Well, and now you've new friends in view, found someone new. You left me blue, turning gray, blue, turning gray.
Excellent. Feel free to type, or I'm not even sure if you can say things out loud, but if there's questions, there I was mostly playing around with, at the end, adding lock turns, change the direction of the Suzy Q's, and trying to force myself to go into the Suzy Q that has the foot corresponding to the lock turn that I just did, which 50-50 turns out. I definitely have issues, I think, with myself and my left foot. But if there's no questions, I'm going to move on from these type of Suzy Q things into something I've had a lot of fun with lately, which is George Brown's, which is this movement, which at the very base is perhaps kind of got the wiggling of the Suzy Q, but the other foot tends to be straight. Often you'll go probably in the outside foot direction and drag the other foot along with you. The one thing I've had a lot of fun with is, what if I reverse the motion, try to shove my foot forward. Of course, the thing I'm having a lot of trouble not doing, which I enjoy doing a lot nowadays, is doing these circles. Of course, you can reverse it with the circle, and recently I've been trying to force myself to do a different circle. It turns out I'm one directionally headed, I guess. It's definitely an easier side than a more difficult side. So I think we ended on a pretty good song, which is good clip for both half and full time. So play along. And that's a good time to stop it before the next super slow song comes on. Absolutely, I'll be putting up the playlist again with all sorts of songs, all of them from Bandcamp. So if you find artists, musicians that you like, I definitely recommend supporting them as you're able. And of course, you can listen to them on Bandcamp and check them out at your leisure. They're all my favorite artists, so I have no trouble recommending anything that I played, because I just play the stuff that I like. As you should, especially in the comfort of your own home. Let's see. It was, oh yes, these are the George Browns, different directions. Stuff that I was playing around with at the end was, of course, I talked about doing circles, but I think it was actually at Montreal Bagel and Blues where someone challenged, when you're making shapes, well, try making shapes that you know and understand, like anything that you can spell. So it turns out that I am right-footed, just like I'm right-handed. I can spell a lot better with my foot, with my right foot, than my left foot. But it doesn't mean that you shouldn't try with both feet. So one challenge they gave us during that class is try to spell your name, something you do all the time with your hands. That time it was try doing it with your hips. Here you can try doing it with the foot that you have free. We're doing these George Browns, and maybe while moving as well. So something to think about. And at the very end, I was playing around with mixing and matching between, because a lot of these are now very compatible. I chose the Susie Q and the George Browns and these happy feet because they involve a lot of the feet just twisting, and depending on which weight and which direction you're going, you get from one to the other one pretty easily. And there's also the classic, if you've totally lost track of where you're going, put both your feet and your knees together. You've got this one, which is kind of a freebie, but it's a good way to lost track of weight and my hands and my feet going, which one's up, which one's down. You know what? I'll just wiggle. Maybe you can take a break. Never feel bad about resetting. I'm the only one who's on video right now anyways, so, you know. Always just judge me. All right. Next up, I'm going to switch over to Noah Hawker. Let's, oh, a mysterious one. I'm going to jump straight to the mysterious one. But this one I'm going to play around with, moving between the moves that we've done so far. So I encourage you to do the same. Because not all jazz has to be super, super duper happy. This one I find is still pretty happy. But might not do max right. I don't think I can go quite that fast immediately. But yes, some fun combinations. We're also playing around with just now, incorporating lock turns and figuring out which direction you end up going after a lock turn. Kind of one of the surprises that I'm getting is, depending on, of course, which foot you lock, you might have a different foot in front at the end of it. So it's a great time to figure out the mechanics of a lot of these movements if you haven't had a chance. And of course, I was trying to spell my name, or just the initials, actually. The initials are enough. Warren is actually quite a lot. Although the R's are pretty interesting, I have to say. Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. More music? Oh! Let me just make sure I've shut off the good. I did want to make sure we had time to play around with my favorite jazz move for a long time are camel walks. Everybody should definitely do camel walks. They are quite distinctively the ones where you bend one leg, straighten the other one, bend, pull, and alternate while walking. Generally the one which is bent is on one side, the other one is completely straight. Switch, maybe pull, bend, 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 straight, and pull. And of course, you'll often bend, straight, pull, bend, straight, pull, and so on. And of course, my current fun thing to do is try to do these backwards, where the straight leg pushed back, and then use the bend to pull backwards, as opposed to forwards, which is iteration 4 of my reverse camel walk. One day I'll be happy with it, but yes, I'm gonna throw that in there because we're getting to the end and wouldn't want to end without at least doing a little bit of camel walks. So maybe a bit more relaxed to get started on it. Let's see, is this one? Should have put. This is not slow, but you know, we're gonna halftime at the beginning anyways, so. And there you go. That's some playing around with camel walks, a little bit jammed in there, kind of going through all these jazz moves a little bit without explanation is probably kind of just throwing things out there, but this is a solo jazz practice where pretty much you're the only one who can see yourself, so really you make your own rules, so follow along or not, pretty much as any dance lesson is, especially if I'm there. It's like, do what you want. In the end, you're your own boss. That's kind of the point of jazz, really. I mean, people might not agree with you, but that's... Someone once told me that if a lot of people don't agree with you, then you've definitely done something distinctive, good or bad. If everybody just kind of is okay with it, then you're not really terribly original. So it's kind of like a call out sometimes. Try to mess things up, try to do something different, because at least you're making a statement. Well, sometimes you don't want to make statements either, but do what you like is pretty much my takeaway. I do want to jump to some Gordon Au before we run out of time, because he just put out this album of music. Two, three. Bucket's got a hole in it, and everything else we've done so far. So happy feet, towards brown, backwards, sideways, brown. Try something you've never done before, and white. Now is the time to try white. think we're heading into about one more song's worth. I figured I'd make a final call. That last one, started playing around with the direction on my camel walks. I usually go forwards and backwards. And this time I took it around in a circle, both forwards and backwards. And one thing which is coming up a lot is going backwards away from the screen whenever I remember that I'm approaching it. So that's kind of an extra constraint, which has forced me to do a lot of these moves while backing up. So it's a nice trick that I clearly need to practice a bit more, because it's not my favorite direction. But one of the finding additional constraints is actually, I find that lets me expand what I like and I don't like. Because it's not worth knowing, or it's not worth making a judgment on things without trying it at least a couple times, just to prove to yourself. I mean, I hated camel walks for the longest time, and then, only 4 or 5 years later, it's now turned into probably my favorite jazz move ever. So, don't second guess your future self. You might discover something one day that you thought you hated, but turns out it's just, getting over that wall gives you so much satisfaction that it becomes your favorite thing ever. So I think I'm gonna wrap it up with I wanted to play something from the Rudcutter Jazz Band, who put together this song, Black Beauty, after the crisis, and he got it's a musician from Vancouver who put together a whole bunch of tracks recorded in different places with different musicians, all playing together but apart, and so it's kind of a track for our times, I would say. And it's pretty amazing that he managed to put this together but apart, which is kind of the feeling that I always have with these type of group jazz calls. So with that, and feel free to do the things that we did today, do whatever you want, throw in your other things. It's always great to try all of your things, because of course, in real life, you'll do all your jazz things together, because you can. nice chill one to wrap things up with. I don't know if there's any particular thing for wrapping things up. I'll probably put on a bit of music until I get the okay from, oh, there's Megan.
Oh, hey.
Huzzah! So
Great class. I'm going to end the live stream here.